Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Authors on the Air. I'm your host, James Latwell. With us today, we've got Daco Auffenorde. I knew I was going to trip on that. Daco Auffenorde.
Daco.
Uh, Daco. Hey, we even rehearsed this ahead of time. But yeah, Daco is she's got a new book out. This is your fourth novel, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the Medici Curse, and it's if you like gothic, environmental, atmospheric reads, this is the one that you're going to want to pick up. It's really well done, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we go on. But um, for those who don't know Daco, she's an award-winning author. Um, she's not new to the scene. She's involved in International Thriller Writers, Mystery Writers of America, and so you'll see her at conferences throughout the country. But I was lucky enough to get a copy of this, and I mean this was a fun read. So congratulations on that, Daco.
Thank you. That's so kind of you to say. I really appreciate that.
No, it's my pleasure. Can you tell folks maybe just a little bit about the story and what's involved in the Medici Curse?
Okay. So, first of all, I say Medici, not that it matters. A lot of people say Medici, but I think it's Medici. Not that I'm correcting you, but just just the way I say it. So, okay. So, about the book, Anna inherits her mother's lavish, opulent estate in Tuscany. She goes back once her father's deceased and she's come into her full inheritance. She goes back to see if she can live in Tuscany, which is her home where she was born. Her father was American. And the reason why she's in America now is that the night that her mother died, and we can talk about that in a minute, her father whisked her back to America to get her out of Tuscany and away from Italy and relatives and so forth. But what happened that night was very tragic. Anna suffered from night terrors. She was in the middle of one when her mother came home, and they had a struggle over a Medici heirloom necklace, and the mother fell down the stairs to her death. So people blame Anna, and she has a tremendous amount of guilt because she can't remember anything that happened. So it's a big decision for her, and that's where it starts.
Yeah. I mean, you've summed it up really well. Now there are a couple of kind of plot threads that go through the book. One, and you touched on it, is that necklace, the Medici Falchion, that it pops up throughout the book, and then also this complicated family dynamic that she brings with her back to this estate. I mean, she hasn't been there for like 16 years, so she's seeing it through new eyes now.
Exactly.
How did those two plot lines come to be, and how did you thread them together so nicely?
First of all, in the story, we needed something that led into the Gothic. So I'm going to back up a little bit and talk about the villa. The villa is opulent, it's beautiful. It's a Medici villa. Her mother was a Medici, Anna's a Medici. Um, and usually, when you think about Gothic novels, you think about crumbling estates and um, decay, death, strange happenings, and bugs. It's very atmospheric,
Right.
follow the House of Usher, fog and creep and all that stuff. So, but that's quite different for Anna. When she goes back, she finds this very beautiful, pristine villa. And but underneath, she soon discovers that it's very creepy, that the decay is just not seen, the creep isn't seen. So that's kind of where it starts. And let's see, you wanted to know about the relatives, and what was the first one?
Yeah, the
The,
part about the necklace
oh
itself,
yeah,
and
that's
that
right.
how that kind of leads us through the story.
Yeah, I kind of got off there a little bit. Okay, so part of the Gothic element in the story is the curse. And the curse involves this Medici heirloom, the Medici Falchion. And it's been passed down from year to year, years through the heirs, the female heirs, come into possession of it, and all the female heirs seem to die these very horrible, untimely deaths. And it all seems to evolve around the head and neck. So they say that if one wears the Medici Falchion, that they are doomed and or cursed, because that necklace will get you in the end. So there's that. Her mother lived next door to her cousin and their family. And so they were like sisters when they grew up. So the cousin Francesca has children, and that's who Anna began school with for her first 12 years. She went to school with those cousins. So they once knew each other very well. So there's tension around the necklace. And does anybody want it? And I should back you up. The necklace disappeared the night her mother fell to her death. So everybody thinks that Anna took the necklace and hid it, but no one's ever found it, and everybody's looked for it. It's just gone. So
I
there's
love
this
it.
built-in tension, and there's a winery that
Mhm.
the relatives have, and Anna has her own vineyards, and the relatives want Anna's vineyards. So there's a lot of tension there as well.
Yeah. No, I thought it was really well put together with, the family that is kind of creeping onto the estate and wants some of the vineyard property and that kind of thing, and it added a nice little touch there.
Yeah.
Now, kind of on that same thread, I mean, the atmosphere that you bring into the book, I mean, is so rich. It feels lived in. Did you get to go visit Tuscany to kind of bring some of those sensory details into the book?
I did.
Ah,
I went with my husband. I was married before Robert, my current husband, to Mike and Auffenorde, and his sister and her husband were international educators. And so when they were in Milan, they purchased property in Tuscany. And so they lived in this 400-year-old villa.
mm,
And my husband surprised me with this trip to Tuscany. We had young children and had a law practice going. So we had a lot on our plate. So when he said, I think we can go to Tuscany now, I was pretty surprised, but very delighted. So we went and stayed with his sister and her husband in their villa. And it was such a source of inspiration just being there in the heart of Tuscany, surrounded by vineyards and olive groves and mountains and little villages and towns. And it was just gorgeous, beautiful. So you're wondering, where's the Gothic come in, right? It sounds very romancy. But just visiting all the museums and just fully taking it all in just really lit a fire in me. So when I got back home, I stopped in the kitchen there for a second. I looked at my husband and I said, you know what? I think it's time for me to write a novel. And so I did, not knowing what the heck I was doing. And I wrote it, I put it in the drawer, and there it sat for years and years. And at some point he said, you ought to join a writing group and figure out this business of writing. And so I did. I joined a romance writing group, which was kind of crazy. But anyway, I wrote a spy novel, and that was my first novel published in 2013. And then there was a long gap. And then I wrote a couple thrillers, Cover Your Tracks and The Forgotten Girl. And then I thought, I would really like to take out that book that I had started or that I had written. And I want to see if I can just take this and make this a real thriller, create some suspense. And so I did. And so I have a wonderful agent who worked with me as the book evolved and
mhm.
became the Medici Curse. So it's a bit of a long story.
No, I love it. I
But
mean, because you when you're reading the book, I mean, it's very immersive, and you feel like you're following Anna, through those towns and ruins and everything
yes,
that she experiences. So it it it's clear that you live that, and it's not just an author, pulling stuff off Google Maps that we see so often. This feels very different.
Yeah, I really felt it. Even driving through the country roads and the sun, stopping in the field of sunflowers, getting out and having my picture made with the sunflowers, and walking up towers and doing the Tower of Pisa, and that was quite an experience. At the time, they had just reopened it, and you could walk up it. Of course, it leans, so it's an odd walk. It's kind of counterintuitive as you go up. You feel like you're going
Yeah.
upside down and all. So that was very lived. Not that I really went into it in the book, but I did go into other things that I experienced, like the wine tasting and just walking through villages
Yeah.
and getting the feel of it, the oldness, the old fort up on the hill. So yeah, I that it was very inspirational, the trip.
Yeah, I can tell that because it shows through in the book. There's some passion here that kind of comes through the pages that you get, and I appreciate that.
Well, I do too. Thank you for saying that. It's very
Yeah.
nice.
Now Anna is really kind of a really interesting character. I mean, she's an artist and she's kind of trying out this new environment. It's something she's inherited, like you said, from her father. But she is really interesting with her past, and like you mentioned, the night pairs. And did she, have something to do with her mom's demise? How did you come up with that character, Anna, to lead this story?
Well, I knew that I wanted a female lead that had to go back to Tuscany to live in a villa, a very old villa. And I knew that something tragic had to start there. And so it all just started coming together little by little over time. And it's a different book for me because usually when I write a book, I know the characters from the get go and I know the plot and
Hmm.
I've got it. This one, since it was a rework, it took a lot to get it in shape.
Hmm.
And adding the gothic element and the supernatural elements um, really, really took some thought and thinking and talking about um, to get it there. But Anna, I knew in the beginning, the first book, I had two characters, two women that went. And I found that when I was writing the thriller, the two women were getting in the way of each other,
Mm.
and that it was really just one woman's story. So I started building her character. Once I figured out that it was one character, I started building all of the elements that I wanted involved into Anna. Um, so it was quite a process.
I bet it was. It's Yeah, especially since you had it marinating in a drawer for a while,
Yes,
and
years.
then you wrote other things, so you changed as an author, and then to go
Right.
back and take that original work. Yeah, I could see there's some work involved in that. So, but I'm glad you did because it was a
Good
really
foundation. I had
very good foundation.
Tuscany foundation, so that was great. I love that.
That is good. Now, part of the book involves, and you've touched on it. These secrets, and uh, these secrets kind of span generations in the Medici Curse, and they become explosive at some point. What is it about secrets that are so powerful?
Well, I just think that people have this innate desire to want to know, especially if something is hidden from them.
Yeah.
Like if you've got a house and you've got a locked room, you want to know what's behind that locked door. And
Right.
I was just on vacation and staying in an Airbnb thing, and there were locked doors throughout. And I was just so curious. I wonder what they're hiding. But obviously, they're hiding their own personal stuff. Nothing crazy. You don't think, but I just think people want to know what they're not allowed to know. I mean, it's just fascination, curiosity, human nature, and what's better than having a locked door in the basement?
You've got
Yeah,
to know what's on the other side.
that's right. That's right.
I love it.
Yeah,
Now,
you asked me about Anna, something about
mhm,
her character development.
yeah,
And I did play off one thing, which I normally don't do when I write. As a child, I had nightmares, but I think all children
Oh,
do, and I would sleepwalk a little bit as well. So I wonder if that didn't come through with Anna. So I maybe put a little bit of myself in her.
I wonder. That's interesting.
Anyway, I'm
Um,
sorry I interrupted you. Go ahead.
no, no, you not at all. We're just having a chat here. So, I mean, uncovering the past is kind of another theme in this book. And how did you? It kind of gets back to how you reworked this book. How did you get Anna in a position where she was able to just dive in and start peeling back the past and uncovering what really happened with her mom?
Well, I think she just had to acclimate herself to that villa. Creepy things were happening. She felt as though she was losing her mind, and or these things were really happening. And I think she had a hard time distinguishing reality from what isn't. And she had relatives that she didn't know and that well anymore and trust. And let's see, the question was what. I got myself distracted. I'm thinking about something
No, you're going right down the path. I mean, how did you
else.
get her in a position to kind of peel back the curtain and look at the past?
Right, right. So she knew that in order to be right in the head, that she had to figure out what happened that night.
Yeah.
She had to um, explore the villa, search for the heirloom necklace, see if she could find it, and try to have those lost memories resurface. And so she started her little amateur sleuth process and went about um, asking people questions, putting them on the spot, relatives that didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Even her art mentor, to be, who seemed to know more than he ever said or anybody ever said. She started questioning him and she started putting clues together. And I think that led her down the path of trying to figure out what happened that
Yeah.
night. And
Because
also,
as she starts this, I mean, she's walking into town as this, new person, but little does she know, a lot of this myth and mythology around what happened still follows her, and people are just kind of shunning her immediately. It's,
yes,
a
that's right.
tough place to kind of start your journey.
Right. And how could you live in a place like that where everybody thinks you're a murderer?
Right.
So, I mean, you want to know, am I or am I not? And she very well could be. And she just wants to put the pieces together.
Yeah,
So she sets out on her own journey.
she does. So we're going to end up with something we call three quick hits, and
Okay.
it's just three quick questions in Anna's headspace, if you will. Just answer them how she would. What is Anna's favorite drink or her cocktail? What does she enjoy?
Red wine.
Okay, she's
Chianti.
she's in the right place for it.
She is.
How about her music? Her favorite music? What does she listen to?
She loves opera because her mother was an opera star.
That's right.
And she loves karaoke. So she goes to karaoke bars and sings. So she has a little bit of her mother's talent, but she's not full on.
I love it. And then finally, what's Anna's greatest fear?
Um, the curse.
Yeah, and whether it's real, whether it's not, and
Yeah.
who's next.
Who's next? That's right.
Yeah, folks, we've been talking with Daco Auffenorde. But her new book is The Medici Curse, and I think if you like Gothic, if you like strong women, if you like puzzles, I think you're going to enjoy this one a lot. So go ahead and pick up a copy. It's just freshly out, and I think you'll enjoy it. Daco, thanks so much for spending some time with us today.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really
Good.
appreciate it. And you're just great.
Oh, thank you. And we'll see you again soon. So take
Okay.
care.
I look forward to it. Thank you.